than that. I'm really curious to see what kind of approach that these two teams take. Coming from last season of Contenders, we know that Point A of Hollywood is very difficult to assault. You often see that Goats v Goats mirror matchup. It's all about who cracks that shield first. This time around, though, Second Wind blowing out of attack spawn with Shredlock on the Hammond. You've got quite a bit of DPS coming your way. Frill on the Junkrat, Barbie on the Sombra. So Revival, they're bunkered in. Mangachu on that all-impressive Torbjorn, but they do have a weakness in the fact that they have to play close together. Apply can take an off angle, but Second Wind are going to be running rings around them, and already this turret is down. If Revival allows Second Wind to get an early pick, they're going to be falling.
So far, though, the turret, the only casualty of any team, and Iremix going to get that first pick. Frill probably focusing in on those turrets just a little bit too much. And as you see, 26% for a Junkrat at this point, at this level of play, is actually pretty slow. You really want to get that Riptire, because Riptire is going to be really great to just go in behind Revival's team. If it's able to explode, it will take a couple members down with them, because the point of Revival's squad is to stay together.
Yeah, there's no Baptiste on the field, no Immortality field to save you from a tire. Azire on the Pharah this time around, a little bit unusual, but he's just trying to break that Orisa shield, give Second Wind some kind of opportunity to get onto the point without taking massive damage. Oh no.
Frill thought he was, out of harm's way, but his toenail's just a little bit too long. I know how Overwatch loves their toes. And so Second Wind, not liking Frill's toes right now, as the grenade is going to take him off of the map. Apply already, just killing it on this Hanzo. Has that Dragon Strike. Eps will have Nano. Revival looking very strong, making this comp work.
Oh, absolutely. Dragon Strike is at the ready. Mangachu ready with the Molten Core. Valk available, as well as Nano Boost. Revival have every tool in the book. In order for Second Wind to get some progress on this point, Barbie must land a big EMP. That is going to be the opener for this fight. Nobody else really close to any of those DPS ultimates. It's gotta be Barbie.
Oh, the halt into the Dragon Strike. We saw the London Spitfire pull that off in finals last year on Junkertown so well, but this time around the Hammond is not going to be the one that's going to be halted into the Dragons and stay there and die, but it's going to cause him to reposition. That might be enough, as Barbie going to use that EMP, only catches Remix though. Paintbrush going down, then Manitin will follow, so this comp will fall, but they were able to take a ton of time off this first point. 1 minute and 35 seconds for Second Wind to cap this point. They just got to finish it off.
Yep. Once the Orisa goes down, there's so little protection for the rest of the squishies in that back line. And got 8! Oh.
And so the Eden Dragons are, is a nice consolation prize. It's got to feel good in terms of morale coming into this next fight for Revival, but they do end up losing the point. Second Wind will most likely be switching off of these characters here in just a second. Revival now only with the self-destruct.
Yep. Hanzo, can you please switch? Manitin, though, does have this bomb that can clear a lot of crucial space, because since both teams are swapping to the Mirror Goats composition, Revival can buy something that Second Wind doesn't have, which is time and space with this bomb. However, everything else largely even. So we're going to see a whole reset here as we head into Streets phase. Really anybody's game, but Revival do have the advantage in terms of high ground control.
And that's not quite like the sad reset, because Revival reset a ton of their ultimates, and now Manitin going to get 2 kills. That's probably because of a shield dash or some type of displacement coming in from Revival, but Second Wind now, again, they felt safe switching because Revival just switched theirs, and now the ult charges are going to be a little bit on Revival's side because they did win that fight, but they're pretty even.
I really do like the fact that Manitin was just like, hey man, I'm just going for it. And what do you know? Apply had already burned his self bubble, gets caught out along with Eps, and now, Exarath, and now this means that Revival can once again reclaim this cafe high ground. It is such a good staging place. And Second Wind, you can see they're getting forced away. Exarath down.
Right now, Second Wind is just unable to get anything going. This is actually a really good opportunity for them to do that now, as Manitin is out of the mech, and it's going to take a little bit for him to come right back in. As Eps and Vegas get taken very, very low. Shredlock finally getting that confirmation kill. No mechs on either side now. Manitin getting close to his, and now Second Wind finally finding a little bit of momentum, but is it enough? It actually looks like Second Wind will be falling in the end. Revival going to be potentially winning that fight in that moment, but their health bars were not able to recover fast enough for Second Wind's second approach.
Oh man, if you had just dropped into this Hollywood match, ooh, a little bit of spraying BM, okay, getting a little spicy, you would have thought that it was second wind defending with how the positions were swapped, and in the end, Frill on Brigida was all they needed in that last second 3v3 to brawl things out and take the cart away from Revival, who once again overstayed their welcome. They have to keep that impulse at bay as we head around this corner of the general store, because while they have a lot of ultimates online, you could easily squander it with an early tick.
Ults upon ults on both sides. 6 for second win. It's hard to use them when you're on the ground, though. Earthshatter going to force that sound barrier out. Exarath still has his Transcendence, as Apply going to be using that Graviton Surge. Sound barrier is there. Now the self-destruct, and 1 kill now coming through from a Barbie. Management is out of this fight. Revival now going to be fallen by the wayside as Barbie has had himself quite a game so far. Going to get the first 2 kills, and second one going to continue on streaks.
Very excellent stuff right there from Barbie. Sometimes all you need is just a single kill and the rest of the tower will topple. Revival threw everything that they had into that last fight and have nothing to show for it. In fact, I would just hold my horses and let this point be go. Just let it go. Manishton again has that bomb. He can buy a little bit of time and space. His second wind are showing no signs of slowing it down. Azire's still high energy.
Yeah, Manishton forced to use self-destruct and actually takes down Ezire in at the end, and so that was a bungled opportunity from second win this time. That's going to be the word of the cast. Revival now have that 65. They push second win back because of that self-destruct.
Yeah, Manishton, I would go out and buy a couple of lotto tickets. That has been 3 kills for 2 naked bombs tossed out there. Second win, trying to get through these warehouse doors, but they don't really have any aggressive ultimates. Exarath should save this trance for Apply's eventual Graviton Surge. Maybe pop that rally from Frill instead, an easier way through the doors.
Ooh, Earthshatter comes through, and the trance is going to be there for the Earthshatter. So Apply knows he's racing Exarath now to a Graviton Surge versus that Transcendence, because Apply is able to get there. The second win is going to be going back to spawn, and he is going to beat Exarath by a couple miles there into those ultimate charges. Apply 9% away. Once you do see that Graviton Surge, I would expect them to rip it right away, because Frill also just used the rally.
As we expected, Apply drops that grab right here. Second win defenseless, and they lose their Zarya immediately. Shatter gets absolutely nothing.
And so Revival gets a couple kills. You know, just like we said, it's just so important to have that Transcendence for that Graviton Surge. And Apply had all the information that he needed to just throw it out whenever he got it, because they were able to get that pick regardless, because there was no protection on the side of second wind.
Exactly. You might as well just go for it. You can guarantee you win this fight right here, right now. But second wind will be feeling pretty confident with Exarath's Trance in their own back pocket. Barbie going to launch his own naked bomb here.
Oop, gonna land onto the high ground. That's not exactly where you want that to land. And second win now gonna have to use the support ultimates to just stay in this fight. Revival now getting close to theirs. They don't have any right now. So second win actually misses a small opportunity where they had a chance to go into Revival without any ultimates, but now those check marks are coming through. Revival are ahead on that ult charge now. They should be in control. There's only 3 seconds left, and Sound Barrier now from second win is gonna try to keep them onto this fight. The self-destruct not gonna get anything. Earthshatter knocking a couple people onto the ground, and the Transcendence is there as well, but the charge kill is going to start things off in terms of deaths for Revival. Remix going to be coming on here at the tail end of Hollywood, and second win only have 3 members remaining to stay on at this payload, and they're down to 1. Baby Diva is going to have to pull off some sort of miracle. No, she's going to go back to spawn as well. Second win unable to cap the third point.
Again, really good proactive bomb from Manishton. Hello, I'm Halo beats, and second wind were trying to use that support ult to come in aggressively. They know they have almost no more time. The only thing that they can hope to do is use that ultimate, push in aggressive, see if they can find some kind of pick. But Manishton utterly neuters that momentum by just throwing out a bomb. It doesn't even matter if it gets a kill. It just means that everybody has to scatter, find some kind of cover, and second wind just didn't really have a chance at that point.
Well, we've been seeing bombs not being used with grabs a lot more frequently nowadays, as it's used to create space or take space away from the opposing team. It's no longer just the bigger bang combo, because that's super predictable.
Yeah, everybody's so familiar with goats that teams are able to react very well to that grab bomb setup. And so, you know, hey, it's all about being a cheeky diva this time around. I mean, just think about Bishu, who was subbing in for Gladiators Legion last season. I'm still reliving his Hanamura bombs, just nudging it off the ledge. Such good timing, such great angles.
And that's what everyone should really be looking at, right? We were just watching something earlier about Revival and how they became a team, and I believe it was Mangachu saying that's some of the best D.Va play he had ever seen. Full stop, right? Was from that Bijou. So we all know what these teams are kind of looking up to. And Second Wind and Revival, they're divas. Manitin, very well known. Barbie, pretty well known in Europe, trying to make a name for himself here in North America. Both have had pretty good bombs and good opportunities to show their stuff.
Very much so. Now Revival got to complete the map themselves. They were able to do it on Anubis earlier, and they're going to be running out with Remix on the ball this time around. Epps giving his shot at the Widowmaker, just out of spawn. You never quite know. Far hit one once upon a time out of Hanamura. But it's going to be Mangachu in the air as this far. That will be the biggest threat that Second Wind need to respect. They got to watch those sightlines. Everybody already hold up behind this point, but that makes it very predictable for Manitin to go back there and get some hacks onto the support line.
Yeah, Remix losing a little bit of momentum there could have been a bad scenario, but I don't think Second Wind was ready for that to actually happen. When your opponent does something so out of the ordinary, it's hard to react. Is Mangachu going to get that first kill? But there is going to be one coming from the other side. This is still a 5v5 for both of these teams. It's even here. Mangachu's in the air already, has Rocket Barrage. So what he's going to try to do is funnel in the rest of the teams, or the rest of the members of Second Wind into one singular place, use that Rocket Barrage, hopefully live through it, because Paintbrush did already use that res, so it's not going to be available for Mangachu, who is going to use that Rocket Barrage. Defense Matrix is not going to be enough, and you want that 2-for-1, right? You're probably going to die during the Rocket Barrage, so you have to take members with you.
So unlucky early on. The two teams traded tanks, but there was no res available for Second Wind. They're keeping it alive, however. Hello, I'm Halo has that sound barrier at the ready. He just has to get to the rest of his team, who are slowly falling here. Shredlaw getting shredded himself by those arrows from Apply.
That's a great Dragon Strike. So they're going to have to walk right through it in order to get onto the point. So they're taking damage, getting to the objective, and that's just going to mean they're easy pickings once they do find themselves in front of Revival's players who do capture point A. It is 1 point for them. They're trying to match what Second Wind was able to do. They have to get through Street Space first.
Exactly. Both of these really putting up good plays on point A and then struggling on Street Space to get things going with that Goats v Goats mirror matchup. But this time around, Second Wind have an advantage. They chose to defend with Goats starting right off the bat. So Frill already has this rally. You can pop this, and Revival's going to have to give some space. They have nothing of their own.
Ooh, Remix going to have to give back a little bit of space because he was, there was some displacement. There was like a trampoline park back there. Revival looking at those health bars so much lower than Second Wind, but Second Wind have given Revival the opportunity to get that healing through for their support ultimates. Epps isn't even going to really need that healing because he's already got that Transcendence, so Paintbrush could potentially get close to that sound barrier. We actually don't see that, not using that healing to their advantage and that opportunity to get to those old charges. And now Paintbrush is going to be waiting for that amp it up to get back onto the payload. But as of right now, Second Wind doing a very good job at poking Revival down.
Exactly. Revival know that they don't have the ultimate advantage. And while he might have been using that corner for cover, Manitin read that Zarya like a book, but it doesn't seem to matter. Holy cow, it is all about the Frill Azire show right now. 4 kills to those 2 players.
It's a curse, HamTornado. 2 out of 3 eaten crabs for Manitin have resulted in losing fights. That is not what you see most of the time. Manitin, though, he's got the defense matrix at the ready. He got that Graviton Surge, but that tells me that there's other things going on in those team fights that they're not quite paying attention to since they're still going down.
Exactly. I mean, the overwhelming damage from Second Wind is just so much bigger than whatever a Revival can throw in here. And Manitin about to get D-Mexed.
Manitin is going to get D-Max. Self-destruct is there as well. Apply 1% away from that Graviton Surge. Do you use it now? You're already in a losing fight. I think you should cede a little bit more space. The Second Wind putting up a very valiant defense right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it has been this Zarya the entire time. Azire has maintained this charge the whole time. You might say, hey, both of these Zaryas coming in face-to-face right off of this first point. Why does Second Wind keep winning? Well, Apply is coming from respawn. He has 0 charge to Azire's 80 charge right here. So the damage output from Second Wind is so much greater. Revival needs to just put in that damage mitigation more than they possibly can. However, Second Wind recognizing that ultimate advantage from Revival, going to be backing up, giving it a little bit of space.
They heard the rally. They were like, you can have this rally, you can have this bugged out armor, you know, it's a little cheap. And so Revival now going to, you know, the armor is going to deplete. Now Second Wind's going to try to engage onto Revival this time around. The Graviton Surge not really going to be doing much. Sound Barrier keeping everyone alive for Revival. They have gotten a nice position onto the payload. Second Wind is going to have to wait a little bit longer before they can kind of contest it. They're actually going to use the Sound Barrier offensively to push Revival back, knowing that they didn't have any ultimates on their side. Edge's going to be forced to use that Transcendence. Desire is far away from the Graviton Surge, so Revival doesn't have to worry about that. Megachu is stunned. He's still stunned. He's on the ground, and now he's going to be gone. 65 now for a Second Wind. This is not the result a lot of people would want, especially after that first point. Second Wind has put up an amazing defense so far, but it's fallen apart at the seams as Revival finally coming in to those kills that they've been searching for the last 4 minutes.
Manatid forced to use the self-destruct just to get back in mech. Revival cut down to just 1:30. You're absolutely right, Boop. Second Wind is digging their heels down into the ground. However, now they're going to have to get a good grab in here. Manatid, he's hungry, he's looking, because if Revival are able to take that momentum away from Second Wind's sails, they might just get a free point lead with barely any ultimates to speak for.
We see point, you know, the second point get held, and it's usually right here. Second Wind trying their darndest to do just that. They have such an ultimate advantage. The key here is to not give Revival ultimates on the other side. There is a Graviton Surge. Remix somehow survives the initial engage. The Transcendence is going to come and save him even more. So Revival has a little bit more tempo to work with, but Second Wind very smartly feeding that space, slowing the tempo down just a little bit more, and the self-destruct is going to get F's. They didn't quite know exactly where that was going to fall. Second Wind is going to win this fight. Revival invested so much into trying to win it right then and there. They're down to 33 seconds and pretty much a grab and a Sound Barrier.
That was a beautiful counter shatter from iRemix. Nothing was happening. Second Wind couldn't do anything, but in the end, still, the number of ultimates didn't matter for Revival. Second Wind were able to push, pull, give a little bit of space. Exarath, being that fragger that he is, able to pick up those kills for his team, and now Revival gonna be hoping to get this point B off of a miracle. No, from behind.
From behind, Barbie showing up, but so is the Diva on the other side. Managing going to even this up. 5v5 is still anyone's fight. Paintbrush already using that Sound Barrier, and a couple more kills coming in for Revival. They have a one-man advantage. Manatid needs to stay in this mech, and iRemix going to get another charge kill. He is alive right now. He took a little bit of the nap at the beginning of this map, but now he's getting the kills. He's potentially getting the second point for Revival and keeping their push alive, and they have an ultimate advantage going into this third phase.
Oof, Second Wind just getting a little bit debate by that Revival rotation. And even though they took down Magachu's Baptiste so early on, it didn't quite matter. They were not prepared for that grab because, like you said, Boop, they threw in everything in the last one, and Shredlock getting caught between Orion and a hard place.
Whew, that is a feels bad coming in from a Second Wind. They did so well. They had, I think they had 5.5 minutes on Streets phase, and they went all the way down to overtime. A minute left now for Revival. The unfortunate thing for Second Wind is they've got good ultimates on their side. Apply needs to get to that Graviton Surge because on the other side, Desire has theirs. Actually, now, you know, upon further reflection, never mind. Manatid going to get 2 kills onto that self-destruct once again. Who needs grabs when you've got a Manatid?
Oh my goodness, this is the second time that he's caught in Zarya and Zen as well. Oh, and what a Boop! Gets the displacement onto the Reinhardt, but actually catches Paintbrush of all people.
Lucio seemed to be, you know, magnetized towards self-destruct. Super odd when you kind of take note of that as Revival still trying to get into this fight. 25 seconds left. Hello, I'm Halo using that Sound Barrier, so that's going to be the Second Wind. A really good opportunity to take the health bars of Revival out of the equation. iRemix is going to be the one that goes back, and right now, everyone on Second Wind still pretty healthy. Desire has switched over to the Doofus to make sure he gets right back onto the point. Barbie's going to get DMAxed, and so Apply and everyone else that has projectiles, the Graviton already did go through, are going to feel pretty good about it. 3 more kills coming in from Revival. They're definitely in an advantageous position right now to grab this final point. Second Wind falling by the wayside, unable to secure the defense after holding for so long on Streets phase. The effort was there. Unfortunately, the only thing that mattered was how you finished that map on defense, and Revival finished where they needed to be, grabbing that last point, going up 2-1. And honestly, this amazing series that we've seen so far.
Yeah, man. Yo, my blood is pumping hard right now. This is some really high-level Overwatch between these two sides. And Second Wind, if you had taken a look at where that team was sitting right after that point B hold, you would have thought, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that they give this up. All they have to do is pressure forward, try and get an early pick onto Revival before they re-engage as that full 6. There's no way. There's no way. You just cut them down to no ultimates, but Revival kept that fight going for so long that they came into essentially the full 6-pack of ults, whereas Second Wind were running on fumes.
Well, iRemix did die at the beginning of one of those fights. Second Wind had a 6v5, but Second Wind, I think, a little bit too much respect coming the other way. They hit around the corner and try to regenerate a little bit more instead of pushing that opportunity of that 6v5. And I think it might be a good thing that Manitin did not eat that last grab, because that has actually been one of the craziest statistics so far that I've seen today. Is Manitin has eaten 3 grabs, 2 resulted in losing fights, and For Manitin, though, let's talk about this guy for just a hot second, because his bombs have been on point.
Yep, and speaking of 2 out of 3, that's twice he's caught Azire and Xwrath with a naked bomb, no setup. So of course you give a lot of kudos to that D.Va player Manitin for knowing those angles, but you also got to take a look at Azire. This is the second time it's happened, man. You got to sometimes just, save the self bubble. I know you're all about that high energy, but your team really needs you to be alive on the playing field.
Yeah, and then we had Hello on Halo try to that vertical boop. We haven't really seen that since Elk was on Fusion University. Remember that team?
Yep.
Right? Coming in, that vertical boop, I think it was on this map actually, where you vertically boop the Reinhardt, and then if someone's toes are on, are underneath the shield, you will get caught in that self-destruct. And that attempt was there, and they were able to get one pick with the self-destruct on their side, but it was not enough. That was so close all the way to the end. What a great map. And now we're going into Havana, and I'm really thank you. So now that we're here on Havana, yeah, we're going to see potentially a little bit more bunker. You might see a little bit more clockwork comp. But the interesting thing for me is, we ZP and Avast are, correct in saying that the defense here is heavily favored on all 3 points. There isn't a time where the offense is like, all right, this is our time, like some Streets phases can be in other, in other maps, like other escort maps like Dorado, right? And so Havana presents a unique opportunity here where not finishing the map isn't the end of the world, but if you do finish it, right, you're pretty much like 80 to 90% guaranteed that you're probably going to win that map.
Very much so. If for such a short map distance-wise, it can feel extremely long. No bunker to be seen for either side, though. So far today, both of the teams, kind of favoring either the Goats Mirror matchup or a little bit of that Hammond action. And Frill already padding that KD ratio, taking down Paintbrush immediately.
So this is all right for Revival. That's not the biggest deal. So just like a lot of other maps, we see it on Rialto, where teams on the defensive side hold up very close. They get another opportunity. This payload moves so slow. Everyone will be back even before they even round the corner. The unfortunate thing for Revival is because they lost that initial fight so quickly, they're going to be at an ultimate disadvantage.
Yeah, no ultimates to speak of, and Paintbrush himself only 6% here. Frill, it's just a celebratory, ground arrows. Revival, look at this. Mangachu on the Roadhog. I am personally very excited for this. You could certainly try and punish Sombras. You can try and hook Mercies out of the air. You can stop Shredlock in his tracks with a well-placed hook, but this is a very high-risk, high-reward type of comp, because Mangachu misses that hook. He's just a massive 600 HP ult battery.
Well, when Apply, who is on the Sombra this time around, usually it's a Manitin can get a hack onto one of those, one of the members onto Second Wind. It's going to leave them very vulnerable to that hook. There is no hook to combo with, so we kind of even Mangachu to make that play himself. And Paintbrush and Apply are going to be trading kills with Azire and Frill. So this is still a 4v4 on both sides. And now Mangachu does get the hook, but is going to die because of it. Because the other thing is when you hook someone, the rest of the opposing team knows exactly where they are. They can put all of the support onto the person that you've hooked and then put all the damage onto the Roadhog, because you're not really doing anything during that animation.
Exactly. You're frozen in time. Second Wind, putting up, again, like all the rest of the teams today, a very fast time on point A of Havana. This is not what we've grown accustomed to if you've been watching Overwatch League. Apply has that EMP at the ready. He's going to try and catch as many members of Second Wind in it as possible, especially, much more likely, especially now that they're swapping onto that GOATS composition. A little bit unfortunate. I really would have liked to see a Zyra on that far a little bit more, but not conducive. All of these routes not conducive to flying high.
I could see the Roadhog being a little bit more effective on at this point. Maybe he switched to the Roadhog, expecting, oh, we were just going to give that up. And now the EMP going through. You're seeing exactly what happens when the opponent is hacked. The hook is super free at that point in time. And now Revival finally getting the kills that they need. And this is so good for them because you want to hold in this area of a point B so you can try to get this high ground. It's really hard for the offensive team to come in without just meeting you on the high ground. And if they do, just drop down to the payload.
Exactly. And what's most scary for an attacking team in street space of Havana is that there is so much high ground that Mangachu could just play at angles until, you know, the cows come home. He is, however, going to swap onto a little bit more consistent Brigida. Epps at the ready to throw on that nano boost for Revival. A Second Wind make their long, winding way across this high ground catwalk. Both of them going to face off against each other. This reminds me of like Horizon Lunar Colony. You have like bunker ghosts.
And so they're going to go ahead and drop half of the members. Second Wind is onto the payload. The rest are going to stay onto the high ground. And this has devolved into some skirmishing right now as Remix going to get that nano, swinging the hammer, just pretty much only hitting the air at that point in time. Still has that shatter. It's okay to play a slower game here because the offense really needs to come into you and their health bars are starting to go down. The bubble has already been used. Oh, nice grenade going on to Second Wind. Hello on Halo and Frill are going to fall victim, and those are the two that were painted purple. The anti-nade, remember, does stop all healing going into those members of that team, and they're using it to the best of their ability. Revival takes the win.
Yeah, really nice shatter from Remix as well, just to secure that fight. You never quite know, especially with Revival, who have, you know, started a lot of fights really hot and ended up, you know, holding a couple of icicles. Again, back onto the high ground here. Remix just scouting things out. Barbie desperately trying to get back into mech. It's a really awkward place for those baby divas. You go all the way back to spawn, switch, give up all of that ultimate charge, or potentially fall to your opponents. It's a hard thing, but Revival themselves, they're not going to leave things to chance. They push in and punish.
That is what I like to see if you are a Revival fan. Barbie was literally in the animation to get back in to the mech, but was unable to get in there.
Animations kill, I think, is what we've learned today. Roadhog, Diva, you don't want to be standing still, man.
Exactly. But Second Wind now finally have the ultimates. They have to, I think, win this fight, or else it's going to be another minute and a half before they have another opportunity to push this out of this street/hangar phase here on Havana. And so Revival now also, though, have the ultimates themselves. So this is actually a pretty even fight, and that's not what Second Wind wants. You want to have an opportunity to have that ultimate advantage, and right now Second Wind is not having that. It's Shredlock is going to go ahead and use that Earth Shatter. Sound Barrier is there to keep everyone safe, and Manitin doing Manitin things. 2 kills. It only comes in 2s, I guess.
Apparently. And again, a beautiful setup from Remix's Shatter to make that happen. Second Wind getting absolutely stymied here on Streets phase. It doesn't seem to matter what kind of advantage they enter the fight with. Revival are always able to absorb their aggression and then double back on top of them. You saw that Mangachu use that rally in the last fight. He's already he's nearly beating Frill in terms of that rally charge. Revival individually are just playing extremely well right now. Manitin keeps swooping in, knocking Shredlock off the high ground every time Second Wind engage here on the catwalk. It might just be time to bite the bullet, speed boost in, see what you can get.
It's the only thing I think you can do. You have to speed boost into the other team when they don't have a speed boost to react to that as well. And again, this is one of those defensive advantages. If they go onto the catwalk, speed boost into you, what do? Just drop onto the low ground, make them follow you. And so Revival now still have that Transcendence. Manitin is going to get deep next, so this is an opening for Second Wind. They've been waiting for this one is apply. Not apply. Second Wind is going to use that Graviton Surge. Epps is going to be a little late on that Transcendence to save the rest of his team, and now there's only 18 seconds left. Second Wind, I believe, have to win one more fight to lock this point up.
Ooh, this is not one of those times where you want to say classic Epps. Revival, though, still have, 2 ultimates to speak of. They might be able to recontest this before point B, but it's going to be very risky, especially since Mangachu was the last to die. He's not going to be able to rejoin this team. So maybe poke at range, maybe see what you can get, because Second Wind are sitting on top of 5 ultimates. try and draw some of them out, make the third point as equal as possible.
Mangachu is back with that rally. Second Wind knows they have a little bit of time to spare. Even though it is overtime, they can, juggle the payload so the rally just goes out before they actually engage with all of the ultimates. Barbie, though, going to have to use that self-destruct because he was almost taken out of that mech. Gets a kill off of that as well. So Revival pushed Barbie, made him use the self-destruct in a place that he didn't necessarily want to use it, but they'll take those.
Yeah, Shredlock just still doing really well on this Reinhardt, able to lay in that shatter, lay in so much damage while everybody's wondering where Barbie is and where the self-destruct is. In the meantime, a Reinhardt is all up in your grill. And now, Second Wind have set eyes upon this third point fortress. It's very difficult for the defenders to fight inside the fortress because of how much high ground there is, how many angles you can be attacked from. So they're trying to take it here on streets.
Sound barrier, they're scared of these self-destructs at this point in time. The sound barrier is there to make sure everyone stays alive. Earthshatter, though, going to be huge as well. Remix going to make sure that Shredlock goes back to spawn. Second Wind now. Oh, Paintbrush, though, is off of the map. That made things a little interesting. The Second Wind, it's not quite over for them yet, but Revival definitely have an advantage.
Absolutely. They can hold Second Wind very close to the spawn, make this third point as torturous and long as possible because, they still have that rally and that sound barrier to use in emergency situations should Second Wind try and press this advantage. A couple of members of Revival taken low right here. Remix nearly falls.
Yeah, Remix, Manitin, and Apply were all pretty low. Sound barrier, though, coming just in time. A really good Earthshatter put Mangachu and Apply onto the ground. The sound barrier is going to keep them all alive. Graviton Surge now. Is that going to be enough for a Second Wind? It looks like it might be. 6v4 now. Revival's going to have to wait until after the bridge to try to hold one more time. Second Wind are going to enter overtime. Revival needs to win one more fight to get this defense.
This is actually not a bad loss at all for Revival, though. Epps was alive in that small room. I'm going to assume that he chose not to trance because now Revival know they have that trance and they have grab. Second Wind just used one of their biggest ultimates, getting this card into the fortress.
Well, and Hello Halo used that sound barrier in response to Manitin self-destruction. He has another one already, so they're not going to be able to do that for the time being. Revival need to use their ultimates right now because those support ultimates are coming online for Second Wind. If they're Earthshatter, though, might win things for Second Wind, and Earthshatter coming the other way, and Manitin's bomb is going to get a quad kill and get the defense. Revival pulling a rabbit out of their hat. Manitin, you are a baller, my friends. Oh my goodness. 4 kills on that self-destruct. Remix did set that up with that Earthshatter. Good shatters both sides. One was a little bit better. In Overwatch, the colloquialism usually is if you ult second, you'll probably find more value out of it.
Very likely,
that was definitely true this time around for both the bomb and the Earthshatter.
We've lost gods, but have we lost gods? Because Manitin, holy cow, pulling some shenanigans down from the heavens of 4K. What a way to end your defense right there. Yeah,
I have legitimate goosebumps.
Yeah,
right now.
All of your arm hairs are standing up like a forest
all
of follicles right now.
Yep.
But I mean, Second Wind, to their credit, struggled mightily in Streets phase and managed to, bring the payload comfortably close to that third point. But in the end, they just could not stand up against Remix's massive shatters. That was like, I don't know, the 4th shatter that he got, that he connected with in this single round. That is a lot of good production from a Reinhardt of any level. And Second Wind now kind of have to, dig deep because when you're on the attack, you get to choose the pace, right? Oftentimes, because the defense are very happy to just sit back on their heels, you have to be the aggressor. But now, as the defenders, eventually you're gonna run out of space to give. You cannot lose, 2-3 fights in a row. That's a point. So they have to play this very disciplined. They're going for that bunker composition throw back on the Widowmaker. So it's all about working those angles, buying time and space for your 2 DPS to set up that crossfire and find those heads.
I wonder how they decide what Mangachu and Apply are playing because they're swapped from the first map of Apply is usually on the Hanzo. Mangachu was on the Widowmaker for a hot second, but this time around Revival is going to have a really good shield breaking pop. You can right click from Epps, you can Stormbow into the Orisa shield with Mangachu, and Apply going to get a headshot onto the opposing Widow. Halo going to have to use that res, and the Mortality field is there to make sure that res goes through. So after that goes down, Revival have a huge opening to try to dislodge this bunker composition, and Barbie actually having to drop onto the low ground, distract a little bit of Revival, and Manton is in the back line, and he's going to boop them off of the high ground. That is textbook how you get rid of that bunker comp and dislodge them. You have to use that displacement. You have to use those flanking paths. Even though they're getting a couple more kills, Second Wind is, because of Manton, because of everyone else, they are able to dislodge it and potentially grab at this first point. I do think Second Wind will have an opportunity to come back for another defense.
Especially since Frill is now on the Tracer, but really good calculated play from Revival. Measured. Nobody was losing their cool, right? They were going for those setups, going for that boot, working that shield.
Oh, that was actually super, big brain, and I think it also disrupted that arrow because he saw the D.Va come through. He was like, oh, he's behind me. I can go ahead and use my Dragon Strike, but that's not the case. The Defense Matrix has a long reach and is going to get eaten. So getting a little ahead of himself, and that's actually going to cause Revival to fall on this offensive side.
That distance hasn't been nerfed just yet. She still has 15 meters of reach on that DM. So Revival now again have to try and push in here with this Orisa. It's going to be clunky. It's going to be obvious, but what they're going to try and accomplish once again, crack that shield, burst the immortality field, and in the space of those two cooldowns, try and press up against Second Wind. Gonna be easier said than done. Frill nearly has a pulse bomb. He could single-handedly win this defense for Second Wind.
It's going to be a lot harder for Revival to dislodge the bunker comp in this position as opposed to what we saw a little bit earlier on at this point. But with Apply getting that kill, Hello, I'm Halo invest the res onto the Bastion. It's going to be really hard to get up there and stop that res because everyone is around him. And look at this one more time, man. It's getting 2 more kills on that self-destruct. The immortality field was not there in time. Revival looking pretty strong right now to grab this point here on Havana.
Yeah, Barbie was off, playing Ring Around the Rosie with Apply's
at the Dream House.
And you do need to do that. That's part of your job as a D.Va player. But unfortunately, Second Wind, the entire team was on that high ground. Managin throws that bomb up there. He's probably going to catch a couple, which is exactly what happened. But now, once again, it's going to be that Goats v Goats mirror comp. All ultimates set back to 0, essentially. Barbie is close to that self-destruct. He hasn't found as much value with those naked bombs as his counterpart has, but he's got to think quick. Second Wind are already facing off against Revival here on this catwalk.
And so we're seeing what we're going to see on Havana is a lot of the time is exactly what we're seeing right now on the screen. The two teams on a catwalk, self-destruct, going to fall below the Distiller right there. And so Second Wind now going to even up those kills. It's 5v5 right now. Eps is so low. Manhattan low as well. Apply going to be returning those kills. Still anyone's fight, but I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the defense because they're going to be able to increase the tempo on to retreating Revival, potentially get more ult charge, more kills.
Yeah, Paintbrush is dead, so it's no problem for Second Wind to push forward, get on top of Revival. There's no way that they can back up as quickly as they need to. Next fight, though, will be potentially in Revival's favor here. You have a good charge, 56% onto Apply's grab, beating that of Azire, and Remix as well, who's had such massive slams so far today, 76% up to that shatter. So Second Wind has to be keeping that in mind. Exwrath and Hello, I'm Halo need to hang back just a little bit so that they're not caught in those CC ultimates themselves and go down before they can save their team.
And so Revival still trying to get up to those ultimates. We're going to see just kind of jostling for position on the catwalk as all of the members of Revival trying to get to those ultimates. Remix will have that shatter very shortly. Apply will have that Graviton Surge shortly as well. Second Wind lagging behind here. The offensive pushing team in terms of those ultimate charge. Exwrath did get that Transcendent Shredlock. Is going to get that Earth Shatter, but Revival were further back, and now they're going to go ahead and match what Second Wind are going to be able to bring in terms of ultimates. It's going to be a pretty intense fight as 3 members of Revival are on the ground. Transcendent has already been used. Apply is going to use that Graviton Surge. Self-destruct coming over from the top side. It hits the ceiling, I think, and then drops down. The arc on that, not quite what Manhattan is used to. Epsilon going to get the kill onto Mario before he's able to get back into that mech. So Revival still in this to win this. Remix, though, so low. Apply getting a return kill onto the Reinhardt. So both teams functioning with pretty much the same members, but now Second Wind finally asserting a little bit of that dominance. They're getting those kills. They have pushed Revival back. There is 1 minute left for them to try to match Second Wind's offensive push.
with all things largely equal in that last fight, Shredlock got the first drop onto Revival literally with a cheeky corner shatter, but after all of these ultimates have been expended, Second Wind still holding strong. 50 seconds left on the clock for Revival to get something done. It could be up to Apply now. This grab has to be huge. He's racing X-Wrath, grab V Transcendence right now.
Second Wind really looking to push this into a game 5. They're 33 seconds away from doing that. All they need to do, like it's an easy thing, is hold Revival for the next 2 points. This did not happen on a Hollywood. If you remember, Revival were able to make a lot of distance in overtime.
Yeah, exactly. Magachu gonna pop that rally first. Might not even need that grab. Goes out anyways.
Remix gonna charge in it to the rest of Second Wind. The Graviton Surge, though, not really gonna do much because of the Transcendence coming in from Exo-Wrath. And so now Revival still functioning with that armor. Frill gonna be using the armor as well. Earthshatter going down. 3 members of Revival are on the ground. Second Wind looking pretty strong right now at 65, and that hasn't been the numbers that they wanted in the past. Now that Barbie gets a second kill, all of the Revival will fall in due time. Second Wind are forcing this into a game 5.
Ooh, Revival getting a bit buried right there by Second Wind. Man alive, I thought that, Apply coming in here with that grab. Sure, of course, the Transcendence is going to come out, but there's so much more that you can do right after that. A charge to displace one of the members out of that grab ball so you can isolate someone and get that kill, but unfortunately did not come through for Revival. Second Wind, kind of both of these teams so evenly matched, neck and neck, flip-flopping back and forth between these maps.
Well, they have alternated map wins from the very beginning, and if you're going through the transitive property, I don't even know if that's the right math term, Revival should win this control map, but if we go back into history, Second Wind did take Busan a little earlier today. It feels like forever ago because of all the action we've seen between these two teams already in a 3 rounds, so whatever it is, it's most likely going to be just as close as what we've already seen.
Very, very likely. Expect a lot of brawling, expect a lot of shenanigans. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that Mangachu Hog. The hook is so good to punish people, pull them out of position. But as we see here, it's really kind of the Shatter Bomb combos that were winning it for both sides. Well, largely Revival's side all throughout Havana. But in the end, Second Wind were just kind of able to, hang on a little bit better.
We should give a prize to the first 2 teams that both finish Havana.
Oh,
okay, that'd be very fun.
I feel like we already saw that today.
Una,
yeah. he took my heart all the way to Atlanta.
Exactly. And so Revival now going into this game 5, they might be, usually teams might be a little nervous going into a game 5 situation, but honestly, I'm probably going to put the composure onto the side of Revival because they have that, experience in terms of playing in these situations. Over on the other side, you've got Shredlock in its first competitive game.
I know, right?
Not on ladder, but here in the competitive Overwatch, right? He is playing very well. If he wasn't playing well, we would not be here in a game 5. This EAT was kind of like a turning point for Second Wind, if I'm feeling honest about that, because I think Mangachu just felt so confident that the Diva was behind him that there was no way that Defense Matrix was going to eat that up.
Exactly. I mean, it gave Second Wind the ability to hide up, bunker down on this high ground, and Epps is essentially useless in this case. You want to have that Roadhog in there for the potential halt hook combo. You can also use that hook to punish, pull Divas out of position, but at such a distance, you can't even really get any shield break going with that Roadhog. So it really was a turning point for Second Wind. They bunkered down and they were able to hold the whole map.
And so now we're going to end things on Ilios. This is for all of the marbles. It feels, it almost feels like we're late season, right? But it's the first day. We already got our first game 5 between these 2 teams, Second Wind and Revival. Revival, of course, the former Mayhem Academy players with iRemix, and Second Wind, that just magical unsigned team that just produces talent over talent. It's the fountain of youth, really, but Overwatch. And so now that Revival are coming in here on Ilios, along with Second Wind, we're seeing Orissas on it sides, and we got Hanzos on both sides too, so we're going to see some dragons.
Hopefully, question is, are they going to be feasting, or is it going to be the well getting its appetite satiated? There is a lot of boot potential here. 2 Lucios, 2 Orissas. There's probably going to be a lot of shenanigans. Ooh, Mangachu already taken incredibly low before he can even really set up. Again, Revival trying to work these angles. You got Apply shredding shields with his Stormbow on one, and Mangachu zoning with his turret. He can also just, take his hammer, take his rivet gun, go off and freelance.
this is a game of inches with these two comps, right? Once one team finally wins that war of attrition, they will take that space, and it's going to be very hard for the opposing team to get back on to that point. A lot of the times, you'll see the wrestlers just stand in one corner, and eventually one of the teams will get a pick, and then they'll all face each other. Nice halt. Ooh, the Boop almost makes it into the well. The halt not going to be doing much now for the side of Revival, but Epps is already down, so Second Wind have an advantage in at this fight. But you're seeing why these bunker comps are so popular. Even though there have been some picks from a Second Wind, the point still has not been taken just yet. They did just grab it, but there was some good delay coming in from Revival.
Yep, very good. You see this shield spam coming in. Frill constantly roving. Very nice stuff. Anytime a single member of Revival gets on top of Frill, he either, lunges out of the way, climbs something, uses that verticality to just duck around a corner and make it so that it's not worth it to try and chase this Hanzo. And in the meantime, he can help shred that Orisa shield, make it so that Second Wind have more point pressure and that they take that point first. Now wholesale swaps, Revival swapping onto the Pharmacy ball composition, Apply sticking with this Hanzo, so now they're taking that whole idea of working angles to the next level.
Well, they want to just break that shield and make it so Second Wind is going to be forced to change their comp as well, as Megachu taken so very low. One arrow would kill him from Frill, and they finally do get it, so this is going to make it a 5.5. The Diva is out of that mech, but Manitin out is going to melee Frill, and Revival going to grab this point once more. Well, we'll continue on, but this time Revival is going to be in control of the point.
Nope, this is a time for Second Wind to beat a hasty retreat. No purpose in feeding over ultimate charge if you're not owning the point right here. And now this is when things get really scary. Frill going to swap onto the Tracer. It's a very wise move. One of the few heroes that can kind of match a Hammond, mobility for mobility. Actually, Revival, though, swapping onto their own bunker comp once again. I was going to say, Pharahs have a great defensive advantage, but Mangachu, he's got to go back to his first love, Torbjorn.
The swaps have reset that ult charge, and Revival not really settling on anything right now. They haven't been able to get any momentum going. Second Wind on their comp, they'll take that, because that's exactly what you want to take away from the opposing team with what Second Wind is running. That momentum, that energy to come in and try to get those kills. Mangachu, you could have pulled out your hammer there. That would have been a hammer kill onto Frill. It's the only thing I would say about that. But now, let's see if Revival switches even more. Mangachu, I think, is going to be forced on this Torb until he gets to Molten Core.
It's possible. I would, maybe advise Revival to swap back onto that ball dive composition, and indeed it looks like they will do. It's really hard to push onto this point with as clunky of a tank as Orisa, but Remix going to give it a try. You saw how fast his shield was shredded, though, by Second Wind in conjunction with that amp matrix.
Very early pick coming in from Apply. This is one of the openings that Revival has needed. It makes it a 6v5. Mangachu's got rid of that turret. The self-destruct will be catching the Zenyatta at Second Wind. Even though they were picked off the first time around, the kills have been more on their side for the majority of this round on, Revival. Just like the energy that we saw on maps 2 and 3, the ones that they won, just not quite there in the current moment here on Control. Second Wind, though, is trying to take Mangachu out of the air. Second Wind, all they need to do is take this Pharah out of the air. They've already gotten Manitin and Remix out of the fight, but now Mangachu is priority target number 1. Mangachu still alive. They finally do take him down. Second Wind will win at this round. I don't believe Mangachu got an ult on it at any point during this round.
On any hero. Really unfortunate stuff. Revival just couldn't decide what comp they wanted to play, and unfortunately you have one foot in one boat and one foot in the other. They pull apart, you just fall into the ocean, which is kind of what happened to Revival there. They never built up that ultimate economy, and Second Wind, they just stayed steady. They had a Zyre on the Torb that whole time, and he wasn't pulling out any hammer kills, no theatrics, but he was using his ability so well to zone. Second Wind, it seemed like they had a really clear idea of what the win condition was for that well round. Take it, hold it. Don't get too fancy.
Well, this is the definition of not fancy. It's goats, my friends. And so Revival and Second Wind are going to be running mirror compositions coming in from Spawn. And I think for Revival, this is exactly what I think you want to see if you're rooting for them, right? Go back to what you know already works. I think they've proven that in this Goats versus Goats, I would probably put Revivals just a smidge ahead of Second Winds based on what we saw. Not on Havana, though, so it is still back and forth, but I think Revival has just been a little bit more consistent on this comp specifically. Second Wind, though, still feeling good about that last round win. They only need to win one more round to take down the upstart Revival team.
Exactly, and this is the the skeleton of the old Mayhem Academy team that wowed everybody last season by taking down Fusion University. Revival now bullying Second Wind off of the high ground. They're happy to receive here, take the fight to the objective, which is where Goats really thrives. They cap it first too, a major advantage. And now they can just sit back and, work up to those ultimates. Oh, easier said than done, though.
Remix isn't fond of sitting back at times, and the Yuki Shield dash onto Manitin as he was boosting on to the point, maybe focused a little bit too much onto that Diva as Remix was ripping the rest of Second Wind to shreds, and so it's going to be a quick flip for Revival.
Oh, wow, and in the blink of an eye, once again, these two teams, so neck and neck, man. You blink and the tides will turn. Revival now capturing the point, and they have that rally and Earth Shatter. Rally is really such an underrated ultimate. Oftentimes you can win a fight simply by popping that
literally
single
broken
ult.
Right now.
Right? I mean, at Second Wind, they themselves coming in close, but there's no prize for most improved. They got to make some kind of incision here, try and crack that shield.
And so, Second Wind coming up on some of those checkmarks. They got to get there first because Revival knows that they have a little bit more of an advantage for the time at being as you hear that hammer down and no kills come of that. And now, following up that initial damage is Revival pushing people back to spawn. They will keep this point. Second Wind, though, going to be coming in with more in their pocket.
It's always feels bad when you lose a Reinhardt so early, and then every remaining member of the team just has to smash their faces into Revival, who now have this high ground. We've seen some shenanigans from here before. Apply has every advantage in the book. Grav at the ready. Second Wind have to again make a torturous route onto the point. Our 60% is already gone.
I wonder if he's going to ult and then push it down. And here, no, not going to try that Bishu play. Bigger Bang combo is going to be up. If they want to have it, Manitin's saving the ultimate now till after or before those Graviton surges, and I'm glad he did because they didn't need the ultimate. Supply gets that first initial kill, but Remix is going to be taken down as well, so it's a 5v5 onto this point, and the Transcendence has been pushed out of F to keep everyone alive. It wasn't enough for Remix, but now the Zenyatta on the other side is going to be taken down as well. Revival winning the tour of attrition at this point in time. They also have more ultimates at their disposal. Manitin still holding on to that self-destructing. He's going to have it for the next fight. If there is one, because there's 93% on the percentage for Revival on this point. Manitin never needed that self-destruct. Sorry for hyping that up so much, but after that quad kill on Havana, who knew? Who knows, right? Second Wind gonna fall. It is going the full distance, my friends. Round 3, this will be settled on Ruins.
Whew. And the cool thing about Ruins is it is the OG control map for long distance hit scan. Widowmaker, anyone? Doesn't look like it. Second Wind, though, gonna give Frill another go at this Tracer. I really enjoyed watching him on that Tracer, and as I say it, we're gonna be disappointed, folks. It's more of the Brigitte games. Also an excellent Brigitte, though, honestly. So, Revival and Second Wind gonna settle this like men. Goats be Goats. Second Wind cannot stumble early, though. That was their downfall earlier today and in that last round of Ilios that we just watched. Once Revival have the ultimate advantage, it's so hard for Second Wind to dislodge them from the point. So this first fight, Second Wind is going to try their darndest so it goes their way.
Even though Second Wind had that initial advantageous position on our last round, they gave it up, and then Revival never gave up their advantageous position. The health bars for Second Wind already so low, but looking on the other side, it's actually pretty even. It's Manitin going to get first blood here on at Ruins. It's going to feel good for Revival, but everyone else also pretty low, so they're going to see just a little bit of space Second Wind is. They're going to wait potentially for a little bit more damage to go on to Revival before they try to attack this point once more, as Revival were able to cap it in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, and you saw how they did it. Remix, Apply, and Manitin just plowed into the front line of Second Wind. Frill was on a flank, looking for a shatter, looking for some opportunity, but unfortunately that meant that he wasn't there to try and push Revival's main tank away. Second Wind took so much damage, there was no way that they could win that initial brawl.
I like what I'm seeing from Second Wind, but what I like sometimes isn't what you need, because Second Wind wasn't being a little bit more aggressive, and Paintbrush gonna get a nice boop kill on to Shredlock. The Second Wind team looking a little bit more like Revival on the first round here on Ilios. The momentum just not really going anywhere for them.
No, but 2 lost fights, at least it happened very quickly. Only 36% gone now for second win. They still have an opportunity to come back in here. For mercifully, and rather unfortunately for any second win fans, Hello I'm Halo actually kills Maniton's baby diva, so he gets back into mech for free essentially, and that means Revival have nearly the full 6-pack of ultimates that second win have to push into. Probably going to see those rallies pop first, give you a little bit of buffer, only using those support ultimates at the last moment in response to Graviton Surge.
And so rally coming in from both sides. You like to see that go together. A very interesting Graviton Surge providing a little bit of cover because of where it was placed for second win. And Hell on Halo gonna use the power of music from very high above. Finally hits the ground sound barrier though. Might not be enough to save Shredlock. The healing is there. Transcendence has been used for Revival. The second win is going to be a little bit further ahead of their Transcendence, so let's see how long this fight lasts. Can't last much longer because second win is running out of time. There's 86% for Revival. All Revival need to do to win at this map 5 is win at this fight, and they are well on their way to do just that. 7% separate Revival from their first win as an organization here in North American Contenders. Shredlock going to get Shield Bash and then take it down. Second win need to bring this out of somewhere. They need a miracle for them to come back on to this point and win it. Overtime. Wick is going to start defeating Esrath, getting a kill, making things interesting. Barbie going to be using that hammer to get back onto the point, but is it going to be enough? They do not have many members on their team, and Apply finally using that Graviton Surge once again. That's going to put the nail in the coffin for second win. Revival wins the first match for their organization. They go 1-0 here in North American Contenders, but I have to say, we've watched a lot of Contenders in our time. That was probably one of the most fun maps most fun series that I've watched, in Contenders in general. Thank you both of these teams for providing such excitement and great play during this series. That was awesome.
Heart pounding all the way from start to finish. That whole Ilios round, though, was blown open. Second win come back in here. They got nearly 6 ultimates. Revival holding on to the 6-pack, and Lucio Paintbrush just comes in here and domes Exarath immediately. There was nothing that, there was no more long distance, discords. There was no more focusing down the energy. I mean, that Lucio painting with a little bit more than the color of the wind, but he was 75% to trans. Could have been a whole nother ball game if second win just had a little bit more of that sustained in the late fight. But as it were, they were already on their back feet, pedaling back. So, I mean, I feel like this team well and truly revitalized. A really good showing, even though it came all the way down to the wire. They had that grit. They had that passion when it mattered.
Well, and I think both of these teams are going to be like fine wines, right? Where you put more time, right? You put more time into just playing together. I think that their growth can be exponential for both of these teams. Revival because of that experience. And honestly, you just got to give it to second win. It's like, don't bet against Fusion Uni until they actually lost, right? For second win is you gotta expect them to do pretty well. They're competitive in almost every game that they play ever since 3 seasons ago, since 2018 season 3. What a great series between these two teams. So we still have one more for you on the docket. It's going to be Envy versus Wavecheck, the David versus Goliath. We got the winner of this group from last season versus the last qualifier coming in from Trials. Let's see how that one's going to go after the break.